and we've got a very special guest on here this morning. Nope, it's afternoon now. So we have Meredith Riley Stewart. Meredith is an accomplished actress, producer, writer, and born and raised in Alabama. So welcome, Meredith, to our program.
Thank you for having me. And I'll have to say, not a writer, just actor and producer.
Okay. So I did a little research on you and back and forth. I've seen some of the things that you were involved in. You're born and raised in Alabama. If you want to tell me kind of where that's at.
Yeah, in Phoenix City. Very close.
Phoenix City.
Inches away.
Wonderful.
Yeah, which is why we're here. You know, like I shot my first feature in Columbus back in 2020 during the pandemic. It was a weird and challenging time in the world and certainly in the entertainment industry.
Right.
And, you know, at the time, Alabama just didn't have any tax credit, and it doesn't have much significant, and certainly didn't have the infrastructure that Georgia had. So, plus we were big enough to trigger the tax incentive for Georgia for films. So we had to make sure to keep everything in Georgia. But I'm back now with another feature, and we're smaller budget, which is making us more creative, and also able to hire some folks from Phoenix City, which makes me very happy. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I read that you had dual degrees in biology and dance from University of Alabama. How did you go from having 2 degrees in biology into acting?
I mean, circuitous path, right? Like that's life. There's this great grid that I like to reference that I've seen, you know, on Instagram. It's like a meme. That's like on the X and Y axis, it's like time and success. And your idea is that you're going to go from the bottom left corner on a diagonal going up. As time goes on, you get more successful.
Oh, wow.
And then the next slide is like, but here's reality. And it's like a squiggly line like everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's certainly my life. So I was a smarty pants in high school, and so my mother was my principal.
Oh wow! You couldn't get away with very much, could you?
So, and I was very much like, all A's are very important, so that's all I wanted to do was study, make good grades. Took that attitude to college, and because I was smart and I was very interested in science, and you know, like kind of took to it. I used to say in high school that like I was going to be a pediatric neurologist. That's what I was going to focus on.
Wow.
And so it was my focus for the moment, but the whole time I was here, I was dancing with the Columbus Ballet.
Okay.
And I remember early on, you know, like middle of high school, I suppose, the director of the Columbus Ballet, who was in the ballet to Puerto Rico, like very accomplished, high-level professional ballerina. I remember her saying to me, you have to pick if you're going to do this cheerleader thing or ballet. You got to pick. And I remember being like, I'm an artist. Of course I'm going to choose ballet. So I had to give up the cheerleading because, you know, ballet was like every single night of the week, you know?
Yeah.
So dance was definitely very integrated into my life, but I didn't really think of it as a profession because I'm just not a ballerina body type, and, you know, point shoes weren't really my thing. And so I headed to Alabama to be a biology major, and then got there and started taking dance classes. And I was just going to do a dance minor, but discovered modern dance. And I was like,
oh, wow.
Oof, my brain just exploded. I'm like, this is the art form that I want to be in. You know, like,
that's awesome.
It's like about strong women and like using your muscles and emotional content, not like being a fairy or a swan or whatever, you know? So, I decided to add dance as a second major. And then I realized a couple years in, I was like, oh, right, I said biology for my parents.
So going from dance, you know, you were interested in, you know, biology and then dance in there. How did you break into the entertainment field? I mean,
the acting.
How did that come about?
Yeah. Okay, so in college, I decided that by close enough to the end of my college career, when it was time to take the MCATs, if I was going to be a doctor, I was like, you know what? Medical schools will always take my money. I want to pursue being a performer and seeing what that leads to. And my parents were okay with it. So I didn't take the MCATs, and I knew like, okay, I'm gonna pursue this. And during a couple of summers leading up to graduation, I would go to summer intensives, either in New York City or, you know, around different, you know, hubs of the arts. One was by the Martha Graham Company, which I had always just like, worshipped. And it was in a university town called Frostburg, Maryland. the whole company came and like taught this amazing summer intensive, and I got close to some of those people. And it was the amazing Pearl Lang, which anybody listening might not know her, but you should look her up. Iconic dancer. I'm sure she's passed away now. She was 100 then. But she said, there's a woman who used to dance for Martha. Her name's Jean Ruddy. She is moving to Philadelphia and starting her own company. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do whatever you say. So I was getting married to my high school sweetheart, my college sweetheart, also from Phoenix City.
All right.
And I said to him, I know you have your dream job writing sports for the like Auburn News, but can we move to Philadelphia? And he was like, you know what? I'm game. This is an adventure. Let's go.
Yeah.
So we moved a couple thousand miles away from anybody that we had ever known.
Wow.
And I just was like, all right, I'm going to start auditioning. I got there, and Jean wasn't quite set up to start her company. And I didn't know her from anybody. I auditioned for Philadanco, which is a historically black company there in Philly, and I got into their second company. So I spent my first year in town in the second company of Philadanco, and then Jean was like holding auditions, and I auditioned. And amazingly, looking back, I'm just like, what did she see in me? But amazingly, she took me into her company, which means I was like getting paid to be a dancer. It was really, yeah, really phenomenal just to be able to say like, yes, I am a professional, getting paid to rehearse. And through that, I got to work with incredible choreographers. You know, we had it was very structured. We have ballet every morning, and then we have Graham some mornings, and then Jean would choreograph or would bring in, you know, very high level international choreographers that we got to work with, and it's just amazing.
I know there's a lot of dedication in dance because my granddaughters, who I'm so proud of them, they're on a National Honor Society, so I don't know where they're going with that. But both,
you know,
of them,
dancers are smart.
Yeah,
I tell you
I know.
gotta be. You have to be able to talk about multitasking.
Yeah.
I mean, your brain is firing on so many cylinders as a dancer. It is really, it trains you for life.
Yeah.
Certainly for like entrepreneurship. Absolutely, I think that. I think, you know, I had such a. It takes so long for me, especially, to be able to say I'm a dancer to, you know, a stranger, that I'm being to introduce myself like that, because I wasn't quite a professional yet. And so that once I was getting a paycheck for it, I would allow myself to say it. And then as I started to transition to acting, I found myself in that weird place of like, can I say I'm an actor yet? I don't really have any credits. But then I moved to LA, and I'm like, everybody says they're an actor. You know, like they don't have this internal barrier to say it. But dancers, to say you're a dancer, that means you go to class at 10 a.m. every morning, and then you're rehearsing, and you are, you know, disciplined. That's the thing that's unique about dance. That doesn't necessarily pertain to being an actor. So I do think I bring that that training to my approach to acting. So as I was dancing with Jean, I danced there for almost 10 years. I was kind of exploring. First, it was musical theater because I was already dancing, and I was like, "All right, I can be a dancer who sings too." And I was like, "Well, trying, you know, like I'm definitely a dancer who sings, not a singer first." But QVC is there outside Philly. I booked a job on QVC, which was
that's
bonkers.
interesting.
It was such a weird thing, but it was super cool. It was a live TV. You know, you're improvising all the time. Yeah. But I did feel like, okay, it's great money, but it's not really an acting job. And then just started to pursue, you know, more like straight plays and in theater, and actually train and learn some technique. And then I spent a couple years taking the bus up and down from Philly to New York a couple times a week to take a Meisner class to like get committed. I think it was like 2 years, a couple nights a week. Which was, you know, my first like technique of like, oh, this is how you do it. This is how you break down a script. I'm learning. And then my husband and I moved to New York after I left the dance company. And while I was there, I booked Devious Maids, which was shooting in Atlanta, which was interesting to like be a local hire to Atlanta and come back and get to work in Atlanta. And then also Boardwalk Empire. I was in the first season of Boardwalk Empire, and that got me my SAG card. And so then I was like, oh, I've got my SAG card. The doors are all opening. Here we go.
Let me ask you a question. You know, dancers and stuff, like I mentioned granddaughters and stuff, it's kind of interesting because when I posed with them, automatically they knew exactly, you know, and the smile and the cheeks and the whole. Is that what they teach you? You know how to turn it on and shut it off? I mean, is that what they do?
I don't know.
No?
No, that is not the technique that we're about. We're about communicating something that words can't say.
I get it.
Using the body to communicate. But when you find yourself standing in front of a mirror for many hours
Yeah.
a day, you start to learn, like, oh, this is my better side. And, like if
I think that's a woman thing, though.
I think it's, ladies, we live in the patriarchy.
Right.
We get taught a lot of things
That's true.
subconsciously. Let's be honest.
That is
Yeah.
true. Very true. So was there ever like a moment where you were like, I made it. This is my moment.
Girl, I'm about to be 47, and I'm like, have I made it yet? It's. I have learned in my 40s that the definition of success can change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because from the outside, some people would say I have, and from the
Yeah.
inside, I'm kind of like, oh, what's next?
Well, you had
You
like
know?
NCIS, and you had the movies. What is it like that one? If You Loved Me, I can't.
Well,
What is
no,
it
there
called?
was okay. The one that I think that we were talking about is Falling in Love by a Mistaken Vow.
Yeah,
that the one we were
I
talking
think there
about?
was
Or
like it's
See
like
Me?
something. Yeah, If You See Me.
Yeah,
something
well,
like
it's
that.
called See Me.
Okay, See Me. Okay,
And then
Yeah.
the other one that we were talking about is For When You Get Lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are all
That's
kind
the
of
one.
varied
Yeah.
approaches to different things. Like I'll say Falling in Love, and recently I was the lead in a Lifetime movie called 10,000 Reasons for Revenge.
I actually saw the
I
trailer
love
of that, and I
Lifetime.
wish I could have watched more than that because I was like, okay, this kind of has like a little dark,
Yeah.
like element to it. But then when you read like the synopsis of what it's about, it's like, oh, wait a minute, like this is, because like the dude, he's like a robber, and then
But
like,
we all
but-
think he's a detective. And then,
right,
Yeah.
and then like
Crickets.
yeah, so it's like okay, this
It's really
it's got
good.
a crime,
Yeah.
like,
yeah, a
you know,
little bit thriller, thriller
Yeah.
for Lifetime. Like, it's not
it'll
too
definitely
scary.
give you like that. Hey, can you help me solve this puzzle?
Yeah.
I like stuff like that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm really proud of that. And that came out just a couple weeks ago. I think you can still watch it on lifetime.com. I think you could stream it. But that one and Falling in Love, those were both like kind of old school in meaning I just auditioned for them. I didn't know anybody on the other side. I just submitted, my agent
Yeah.
sent me, here's what you got to put on tape. I did a self-tape, send it out in the ether, and then I got a call,
Well,
you booked it.
I love that you played Luca's mom in that because, like, here it is, like, he's this, rich bachelor that the family is like, you got to get married,
Uh-huh.
And then, like, but your character, even though you're kind of like this wealthy mom in there, you also have this, like, ethic and this integrity about you when it's talking about, like, hey, just because you're going through this, you can't divorce her. Like, this is, because so it's kind of like, as you're seeing this whole thing take off with this dude and this girl, they end up for family reasons meeting up, and he's like, hey, let's get married. She gets lost, he gets lost, and you're like helping them find each other again. So
Yeah, I think in that type, that's a lot of my mother. Like very put together, very sophisticated and elegant, and very concerned about like this is how society says we have to do this.
So you were coming from experience.
100%. I channel my mama a lot.
Wow, that's awesome.
So there's another thing I had a little curiosity on, and it said that you had dual citizenship in Ireland. How did that come about?
Well, my grandfather was an immigrant. He
Oh, okay.
came to the U.S. In 25, something like that.
Okay.
He came and joined the Army right away.
Right.
Came to serve, and my granny was a captain in the Army.
Oh,
so
okay.
he was actually an enlisted man under her. It was a very hush-hush.
Right.
See, I should write a Lifetime movie about
I know,
that.
a drama.
Yeah. Sounds like a movie script to me.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good idea. All right, planting that seed. So they got married, and he had family in New Jersey. So took my granny from Tuscaloosa, where she grew up,
Okay.
to somewhere in New Jersey. But he actually passed away when my mother was, I think, 5 and my aunt was 2. He had a brain, like an aneurysm,
my
very
wow.
unexpectedly
Yeah.
with babies,
Right.
So my granny moved back to Tuscaloosa, so that's where my mother and aunt were raised. So back to Alabama,
Yeah.
we never knew him, obviously, me and my brother. But once my parents passed away, which was like really tough to endure, in your early 30s, but both my parents passed away, and my brother, as we were trying to decide, like, what's our connection to Phoenix City now? What do we do with their house? All this kind of stuff. He was like, you know what? We have a grandfather who was an Irish citizen. That means we can be Irish citizens.
Oh.
So he's like, I think I'm going to start doing all the paperwork. And I'm like, will you just make duplicates of everything so I can
Yeah.
reap the benefits? And so it's actually, it's a process. It's not hard. It's just a lot of paperwork. You've got to, prove birth certificate, marriage certificate, death certificate, all down the line. So we did it, and I've had the citizenship for. I mean, I've already renewed my passport, and it's a 10-year thing, So I've had it 12 to 15 years. He actually moved to Barcelona, lived there a while, moved to Dublin, and lived there a while. So he's been taking more advantage of it than me. But one of these days, maybe I'll live.
Yeah.
In Europe.
I think I'll do one of those things one day. I'll get a dual citizenship to Canada or something because they've named a port after my family way up north. Yeah.
In Canada?
Yes, in Canada. That we migrated down from
Port LaJoy.
It's called Port LaJoy.
Cool.
And there was a major battle there that was between the British and the Indians and the French.
Oh, yeah.
And a whole bunch of them escaped and went down south to Louisiana. They called them
the
Acadians. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's... And 3,000 were captured, 1,500 died of scurvy and malnutrition. When they got over there, they were furloughed, basically given, free status, and they came back over in the ships, and they named this port after. So it's kind of crazy.
Oh, that is
you look back at
cool.
our histories and everything. I think I'll apply for that too. So
Yeah. I know I have a couple movies that I would love to shoot in Ireland. I hope that the opportunity arises. It'd be wonderful to take a movie back.
You've had a wonderful career. It looks like in Columbus now in this area. That the zombie movies were shot up in Sonoy, and I worked some of the security and some of the stuff I worked for that over in Meriwether County. So I've watched the movie industry grow here, and it's starting to. I think what's interesting about it is we're using the natural backgrounds instead of a lot of AI. And I guess AI has kind of taken over the movie industry just like crazy. But my question is, what do you feel? Do you feel AI is something that should take over the movie industry or natural backdrops? What is your opinion on something?
Well, I appreciate the human element of the arts.
Okay.
I feel like that's just like we were saying earlier with dance, how the reason you have to dance is because words can't say those things that you want to
Right.
communicate. And that's such a human reflex and a human instinct. And that's something that computers can never duplicate, even as hard as we try. And I hope an audience will continue to realize when there's not that human element behind it, because, of course, as an actor, I want to keep having a job.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to be able to have me as a conduit so that you, the audience, can feel the things that the writer is wanting to communicate and wanting you to feel.
Right.
So certainly there are elements of AI that will only make things more efficient. Because there's a lot of inefficiencies in the movie industry. If you've been on the set of Walking Dead and stuff like that, that's a very high level, very high budget show.
Yeah.
So many moving parts. I mean, it's like
I
mind-boggling
love that whole
sometimes.
thing.
So what do you think, like, for, I guess, the entertainment industry here in Columbus? I wonder what brought you back to Columbus, and is there like a room, or is there room for the entertainment industry to increase and to help more actors or upcoming actors, I guess, benefit and make it to the big time screen? What do you think?
I mean, certainly there's always room. There's a really wonderful, like, grassroots level community of filmmakers here. That's what's really cool. And that, honestly, that's probably happened since I left. And that certainly happened since I left. Because Georgia really wasn't a hub of entertainment. I moved out of Phoenix City I went to college. I graduated from college in 2001. So I really, moved to Philly then. And I've lived, I think this year, maybe this birthday, I've lived out of the South longer than I've lived in.
Oh, wow.
So in that 20-something years, the Georgia film industry has certainly blossomed. So there wasn't this filmmaker community here that there is now, and it's really wonderful to see. I hosted a mixer since I'm shooting a movie here now. I came in about a month ago just to do some location scouting, meet some locals that I didn't know, so I hosted a mixer, and the film office helped me put the word out. And it was really cool because a lot of people came not just to meet me and my producing partner and ask about working on our set. They came to meet each other. And so that was really cool. Like, they had heard about, I heard so-and-so is a really good editor, or so-and-so is a really good cameraman. I want to go and meet them. And I was watching it happen. I'm like, oh, you had a gig or something, couldn't work on my job, but they came to meet each other. And so that was really cool. And it just proof that there's artists everywhere. You got to find your folks, find your people to collaborate with. Find somebody who is talented in a way that you are not.
Yeah.
And there's always room for collaboration. When it comes to actors, look, I happen to live in LA now, but I'm making a movie in Columbus. So I made that Lifetime movie in San Antonio. So actors got to be willing to go where the work is. And sometimes that doesn't necessarily mean live where the work is, because you never know, but you've got to be willing to like pick up and move there for a month if that's what the job requires. And that's what I find that keeps life interesting.
Yeah. I tried. I feel like I tried doing the acting, like the actor stuff. I went to the Springer one time and auditioned for, I think it's like Sister Act, and I was terrible. So
okay, that's what I want to hear. Like, how long did you try, and how long did you train?
I only tried once, and I said, you know what, this is not. I just realized that you need more training than what. What people think. Like, you think
people aren't flying by the seat of their pants.
I know.
They're just good.
I know. Like, I'm like, you have to literally prep yourself. You have to get every part, like even on the script, you have to get everything in detail. So I tried, and I was like, you know what, I don't have time for this, so I'm gonna have to let this go.
I remember in high school, I was in drama class. Like, I was in the drama part, where you go in after. After
extracurricular,
school. And I remember being in A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oof.
So that was like, I wasn't like one of the main people.
Right, but Shakespeare's heavy duty.
Yeah.
Right, but we had to do like the, the improv with the passing the ball and like, kind of
zip,
training
zap,
up. Yeah, like all of those things. So, and I really enjoyed it, but I really, I found that every time that there was a part that came up, because there was a lot of singing in the dramas, I wanted to sing. And so like my advisor was like, I think that you would be better in choir, like chorus. Mm-hmm. So I joined choir, high school chorus, and, did a lot of singing. I did that throughout high school. So but
I still want to. Like, I always have that, I guess, pipe dream, bucket list kind of thing, become an actress. But, like, it really does take a lot of focus and detail. Like, what is it? Like, I always love the Angel Productions. I know you probably see the Angel Studios.
My most recent movie, the first one, well, sorry, not most recent, my first movie, the one that we shot here, The Greatest Inheritance in 2020, it just got picked up by Angel.
Whoa.
So as of February, we're on Angel Studios. You can watch it there.
See, I want to be an actress on there one day. But, once again, I'm like, if the Lord allows it, I will. I just feel like,
but there is something to be said about preparation.
Yes,
you can't just wait around for lightning to strike.
That is true. That is true.
She's kind of playing things down. But I think, was it last year, year before last? I invited her and her husband to basically a tuxedo dinner that we were at. And she got up there. She goes, I think I'm going to sing something. I didn't realize her voice.
No, Mom.
I mean, it was so emotional. I almost started to cry. And I'm a big, tough guy.
That's
for me
the
to shed a
talent,
tear,
though.
she's got a beautiful voice.
Again,
absolutely
the song,
wonderful.
Communicating emotion. That's powerful.
Oh, yeah.
I just, look, once again, like, I understand what it takes. And to get there, I'm like, I don't know if that's something I want to pursue right now.
And that's
Where
okay.
are you going to
That's
fit
valid.
it, Sarah? Where are you going to fit it?
Yeah.
I know. I feel like I could do anything. Like, the world is my oyster. Let's just go this direction.
That's a great attitude.
But
I feel the same way with, like, I wish I had started tap dancing when I was a kid. I remember the first time I went to, I was already a professional dancer, and I went to a tap class, and I was like, I'm able to do this. I started crying in class. I was so frustrated and so embarrassed that my body wouldn't do the thing that I wanted to do, because it was just new.
Yeah.
And I wish I had been more of a singer as a kid, because once you have a self-consciousness, I can't. It's really hard for me to get around. Like, I know that note was flat, and I am embarrassed about it. And then your breath, like, you don't support your breath, so the next note is flat too, and then it's just
my goodness.
no, let me just dance.
I'm about to admit to something on camera here, and actually, I took some drama classes that a lot of folks don't know. I was a big jock in high school, and kind of missed my
Wait,
opportunity.
where did you go to high school?
Escanaba, Michigan.
Okay.
Way
I'm
up in the
learning
Upper
something
Peninsula.
new.
Okay.
I know,
He's
Mark,
a Youper.
Yeah, I'm a
you just
Youper.
keep
I'm glad you know
finding
that.
I know that. Yeah.
So I went up there, but I actually went to some of the drama companies, the local companies in Escanaba, and my mother used to sing But I sang when my voice changed because I was a baritone and it just went to bass. And so I sang, and I was in movies like South Pacific in some of the plays that I had done.
Oh, like in the
That's
musical, in the live
crazy.
version.
And I had a leading role
Wow.
with a female. Oh, yeah.
We
see?
have to find it.
See,
Okay,
y'all didn't know this.
I gotta go
See,
do
so I'll
some-
tell her,
some
I'm
research.
admitted to something on camera here, but
Oh, my
I did
gosh.
that. And I also did a play. It was called Winnebago. And Winnebago was about an American Indian spirit, the spirit behind that. And I played the spirit and the voice behind that. So that was kind of interesting. I said, is this my calling? And then at 16, I did a demo tape for a local radio rock station there.
Whoa.
And I took up the days that the jocks didn't want to do it. And then I became popular because I was in high school. You know, this 16-year-old kid's
Yeah,
in
yeah.
high school, and
With
he's
the
a
radio
jock at the
show.
local radio station. That was awesome. So, yeah, don't hold that against me, guys.
Wait, why would they
I
hold
think
you
that
hold it
opens
against
up
you?
more about
Yeah.
you.
I know.
Okay,
I know.
here we
I love
go.
it. I did one act in high school. That was my thing that made me love the entertainment industry. And like, I loved it. I loved the dancing. I can be a really good mimic. So I can mimic very well. So if you teach me it, like, I'll learn it very quickly because I'll mimic you.
Yeah.
But then like I said, figuring out how to put it all together and put it in one, that's where it kind of got a little bit sticky.
So, Meredith, tell us a little bit about NCIS. That's a pretty big deal. NCIS is, and you know, my granddaughters watch that stuff. So.
Yeah. So this
That's
was the newest version, the newest spinoff. It's called NCIS Origins.
Yeah.
And this was another, like, my agent sent me an audition, and I booked it. It's so funny because I've already told you I'm about to be 47 in a couple weeks.
You look great, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sunscreen every day. That's the key. The breakdown, which is what they call where they like type out all the characters that they need. It called for a woman who was like, I think the younger age of the range was like 50. It was like, 50 to 55. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to get this. But I'm going to audition. I want this casting director to see me. I want the producers to see my face. I'm not going to get this. And it was a flashback. It was set in the 70s. So I got out this like vintage like leisure suit that I'd bought at some yard sale and put my hair up to look kind of more 70s because I feel like I have a very particular cut that doesn't look very period.
Yeah.
Did some like, frosty eyeshadow and lipstick to look more 70s. And I just had fun with it because I was telling myself, I'm like, I'm never going to book this, so why not just have a good time? So I just had a good time. Then I got a call back. And I had a good time at my tape, which was just like me at home doing it myself. Then I had a call back, which was Zooms. It's still not in person. Nothing's in person anymore. But that was, the casting director is on Zoom with me, watching me. And I did it, and it's very, very awkward because you're not in the actual room. And it's just weird. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to get this. This is fun. Let's do it. And then I got a call like a week later. You booked it.
Whoa.
Which
wow.
was super
That's awesome.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun. And because it was a period piece, I was very like, what are they going to do with my hair? They actually called and said, we can't really tell what your haircut looks like because I put like a scarf and kind of tied it like they would in the 70s.
Yeah.
So you couldn't really tell how long my hair was. So I had to take another picture. And I was like, I don't know what they're going to do with my hair to make it look 70s, but let's go. They put me in a wig that was so rad. I looked like Patsy Cline. It was like black curls,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
a little
yeah, really?
bouffant. I looked like Patsy Cline in a rust-colored leisure suit
Oh, wow.
with a scarf around my neck. It was pretty awesome.
So
That's awesome.
This actually, I looked up this episode. It was called Happy Birthday, right?
And the kid opposite me is from Alabama too.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, and
That's
I
crazy.
noticed your name in there too. So let me make sure I don't watch this. Lois Pelagatti.
Yeah,
So-
Mrs. Pelagatti.
So tell us a little bit about like your character in that, like like on top of what you already told us.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
what voice did you use? Like things like that.
So the show, NCIS Origins, the whole premise of the show is that I think the main part of the show is set in the 90s. And then each episode reveals something about one of the main, like the series regulars from their childhood, So it's like a flashback within a flashback. This whole show is set in the 90s. And then we went back to one of the lead guys' childhoods. And that was, he's a redheaded man, and then it was a redheaded boy that was the kid from Alabama. So
Right.
we bonded over just like being from Alabama. And so it was set in like rural Pennsylvania where he was supposed to be from. So it was kind of accent neutral though. We didn't get into anything super regional.
Yeah, because I actually couldn't, where I was at, I couldn't actually see you in the clip that they provided. So I was, yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, it was like a Tupperware party. Yeah, that was
cool.
that was the part.
Okay.
Yeah, very fun.
So I looked at some of your, I guess, some of your promo stuff that comes off of your website, and tell us what the F-up things are all about. I was watching them, and I'm going, okay, I kind of get it, and I don't get it. So kind of explain to me what that was all about. It was interesting. So
so this is like, just one of these things that happens in LA. I moved to LA in January of 2013, I think. 2014. And right away, Sundance happens every January. And so everybody that I was kind of meeting is like, the best way to meet everybody in LA is to go to Sundance. Everybody in the industry goes to Sundance. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. So I went and I had already learned, like, everybody on that plane going there is going to be going to the festival. Everybody on the shuttle from Salt Lake to Park City is going to be going to the festival. You're going to meet people that will be collaborators, if not just people you'll see in LA, in the industry. So the shuttle from Salt Lake to Park City, I met this woman. We just became fast friends. We hung out the whole festival. And then when we got back home, we were like, both actors, which kind of means you got a lot of time on your hands. You're waiting for your agent to send you out for an audition. And so you're just like, okay, well, let's see what happens today. So Christina and I decided to start making, this was like when web series were sort of a new thing and like kind of a burgeoning element of like kind of the DIY part of the industry. So Christina and I decided, I had already made one web series, the one called Southern Dish, did a crowdfunding campaign, raised thousands of dollars, and made it at a like proper professional level. And we made like 3 mini episodes. And in the meantime, Christina and I were like, what if we just do this for no money? Like use our apartments, our friends, like things we had access to.
Yeah.
And just, don't spend a lot on it. Just make it whenever we have time, work it in. And we spent the next year. We would get together like once a month and make, I don't know, 5 or 6 episodes. And then, so every week we would launch a new episode. And in between, we would launch like an outtakes thing. And the premise, we called it autocorrect FU. And the premise, because everybody knows this, you either talk to text or type and your damn phone corrects it to something that's sometimes ridiculous. I have caught one recently that it keeps happening. I will put excellent and it will change it to excrement.
Oh, wow.
That is not at all what I'm saying.
yeah, I was wondering because you had your head by a toilet, and I'm going, I didn't recognize this until I seen this. I went back and replayed it. I'm like, wait a minute, her head's up next to a toilet. I'm just trying to figure this out.
Did you listen to the whole thing? Like you
I
did, the premise?
But I was laughing so hard when I seen the toilet piece that I just forgot to go back and watch the rest of it.
I think at the end, I'm like, I meant shirt. Not the other word that's very close to shirt. I meant shirt. One of my favorite ones on there, and they're all on our YouTube channel. You can look it up. One of my favorite ones, it's like me in a veil, I'm a bride, and it's me also as the mother. So I got to play both parts, which was super fun. Just like, sketch comedy kind of stuff. And the mother walks up, you hear the bridal music playing. The mother walks up and she says something like, I am so proud of my pregnant daughter. And the daughter looks at her and goes, oh, Mom, how did you know? And the mother says, what? She said, I meant perfect.
That is so cute.
So they're funny. They're like very cute. It's like, what if you actually meant what you typed?
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
What do most people get wrong about you? What do they think? You're acted and you've done some things, but what do most people get wrong about you? Your personality, your background, what you do?
Well, when I first moved to the Northeast, I would certainly understand in like the way people were receiving me. Like I would like watch it happen that because of my accent, they thought I was not smart. I could like tell,
Okay.
like, oh, you're starting to talk slowly because you think I'm not smart. Okay. And I would just like watch it happen. It would just be fascinating, like a social experiment.
Yeah.
If I get more country, will you think I'm even dumber?
Yeah.
You know what? It's funny that you bring that up because I was actually watching your Southern Dish, and I love that. Like in there, you're the owner of this little like restaurant,
Yeah.
and you're very much talking with your Southern voice in that. And I was like, is that like her natural Southern? But the way that you're portrayed in there, you're also very like upbeat and kind of like Valley Girl at the same time, you know? And so I was like, I wonder if this is like really how she was, or if this is just her acclimating her Southern voice to the actual role as well. So
Yeah, probably a little of both. You know, probably those experiences of like, I'm sure as an actor, of course, I'm always trying to just be conscious of when I'm using an accent and when I'm not, because sometimes it's called for, or sometimes it needs to be British, or something
Right.
completely
Right.
not
I have
mine.
a good bitch's voice.
Me too,
I love it
darling.
so much.
You're a lot better at that than I am, I can tell you that.
I'll tell you what.
But so that was probably part of it, is just a consciousness, and so I'm sure I'm much more accent neutral now, just in real life. But I say y'all. I feel like that's my tell
Yeah.
in LA.
Yeah.
People will be like, "Oh, you just said y'all. Are you from the South?"
Yeah.
Y'all is such a good pronoun.
I have
You just to
family
use
in
it.
the South, and so we use y'all.
Yeah. Y'all is a good word. It's a great word. It's
I
a very
know.
inclusive word. I love it.
Another good word is yonder, over yonder. And I said, what the heck is yonder mean?
How about
you mean
yins?
yawning or
Do
what?
you-
Yeah.
do
Yins
you
doing?
do you Michiganders say yins?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
when I was living
you
in
know what they
Philly,
say, eh?
my
We're from the
Western-
Yoopers,
Western
so
Pennsylvania
we talk
folks.
like that too up
Yeah,
there. It's kind of
uh-huh.
weird. But you know, when I go, and that's true about what you're saying, because when I started here, I was law enforcement. I was a cop here in Columbus PD. And the first time I was set loose by myself to go and answer a call, I went up to the door and I knocked on the door. And the occupant of the apartment said, "Who's there?" And I said, "Police." And they go, "Who's there?" "Police." I couldn't figure it out, man. Nobody answered the door. And I went and talked to somebody else. And then you go, "No, you sound like a damn northern hick is what you sound like, you know. So say police next time."
Police.
And I did. The next time I went to a door and I had to go ask a door, who is this? It says, "Police." And they go, boom, open the door, and it was right there. I was like, oh my God. It was all about my accent. So when I leave here and I go back up to Michigan somewhere, they go, "Oh, you're just down the south, aren't you?" You know, one of those things. And I was like, no, not really. I'm just
Yeah,
adapting
so that's
to my
probably
environment.
a bigger misconception, is like making assumptions
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
jump
Yeah.
about who I am and where my background is and what my education level is based on my accent. That's probably a big one.
Well,
Yeah.
do you foresee yourself coming back to Columbus? Are you set in LA? Do you have like projects other than the one you just recently worked on? Obviously,
So the one I'm working on now, like we're shooting. We wrapped
Oh, okay.
wrapped week 1 last
Okay.
night, very successfully. We
Yay.
got 2 more weeks left though, so we're gonna be grinding. It's 12-hour days, it's long days, and it's a lot of work. But it's coming together really beautifully. That movie is called Breaking Joy.
Okay.
So that one will be. I mean, who knows when it'll be out? Well, I'll say within a year. And I'm really hoping to bring the premiere here. We did that for The Great Inheritance, which was wonderful.
That would be awesome.
So I hope I can do that, and I'll say a shout out to the Muskogee County Police Department, the sheriff's office. We're getting a sheriff's car, a old timey Crown Vic, in the show next week. So,
Okay.
So we have them coming out. They're giving us some uniforms too to make our actors look like the real deal.
oh wow,
Yeah.
Are
So,
you?
there's a lot of young girls out there, gals, and even some older ladies and stuff. What do you suggest they do to go? What path do you suggest they go down? Since you have all this experience behind you, you could teach them don't go down this path. That didn't work for me, or go down. What do you suggest?
Well, I'll say first of all that every path is unique. Like there's not here's how to do it.
Uh-huh.
Certainly, and that's probably just a huge lesson. I mean, it's a lesson for life, honestly. But in the gig economy, in the entertainment industry, there's no right or wrong. So I would say, this sounds a little LA, a little woo-woo, but do what sparks joy. Like if you love it,
Follow the piece.
do it. Yeah. But also let your spidey sense inform you. If something feels
Yeah.
creepy, it probably is. Go
Yeah.
the other way. Take a friend with you on casting calls if something's in person, and if it's not at a professional office, don't go because
Yes.
Yeah.
it could be sketcy.
Yeah.
Like let your spidey sense, and you know more than you think you do, and you got to remember that, and you got to remember, when things don't feel on the up and up, you're allowed to question. How about that?
Yeah.
You
So
are allowed to question.
Trust your instincts more
Yeah.
or less. I mean, women are good with your intuition. So
Yeah.
Follow your instincts. That's what I
and
always
know
tell
that there's
everybody.
lots of creepers out there.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Oh, I know.
You know, like find a woman mentor. Find a woman who's 10 years older than you
Yeah.
who you can say, this sounds a little creepy, is it? And she'll
Yeah.
probably be like, yes, girl. Go the other way.
Yeah.
So for the entertainment industry nowadays, like are you happy with it? Do you see like there's an open door, new opportunities? What do you think?
I mean, it's always morphing and changing. And in the past, since the pandemic, that was a very weird time in the world, obviously,
Right.
but certainly in the entertainment industry. And so, like, for 3 years, the pandemic was wonky. We couldn't do anything in person, hardly be on camera. And then there were strikes that really shifted the industry globally. And the marketplace continues to shift about where we as the audience consume content, where we're looking for it, the format of it, long form or short form, on your phone, on your TV, in a theater. It's all continuing to evolve and shift. And so part of it is just being nimble and being willing to shift with the culture.
Yeah.
Being willing to understand the marketplace in terms of like, is it realistic to think I'm going to be in a $30 million movie next week? I mean, I'm going to audition for it. We'll see. But I'm going to make a movie that I can find the money for, make it in a responsible way at that budget level, and in an ideal world, sell it for more than I made it.
So I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
Is there a specific genre or type of show or movie that you like to interview for or to audition for?
Audition for, I'm open. I'm open to whatever. Like, I love to play characters that are different than me. Like, I've been playing a lot of, like, wicked stepmother types recently, which has been so fun to be mean.
I love it.
Yeah.
Because
I
I'm
love
so, like, polite in
I say that
person.
all the time.
I'm so polite in person, so it's fun to, like, be mean on camera.
Yeah.
But the types of movies or the types of content I like to make, I'm really gravitating the more I get. And for a while, I just, like, put my hand in a lot of pies just to, like, taste it all, you know? But with this movie especially, it's becoming more and more clear that like making positive messaging for teen girls specifically is a niche that I can really get behind. You know, to have more messages in the world that tell those subconscious messages to girls about like, no, you are good enough. You are pretty enough no matter what some boy says. You are worthy. Your body is gorgeous. All these things that
So
girls don't hear
self-validation
enough.
and things.
Yeah, and like you are allowed to make this decision. You can do this on your own. You know, you don't need somebody to always do it for you or give you permission. All that kind of stuff. I don't know if y'all saw K-pop Demon Hunters. I mean, the whole world saw it.
My kids love it.
I put it off for so long because I was like, oh, that's like a dumb animated show, and it's for kids. I don't watch it.
So good.
And I watched it right before the Oscars. It is so good.
It's really
Talk
good.
about girl power.
Yes.
You know what's funny though is I have all boys in my house, okay? But let me tell you, because so like my kids, especially like Judah, he's my middle little. And he loves it. They literally listen to Soda Pop every
Soulja
single
Boy,
day.
oh my gosh.
And for a long time, Judah, he had the bluish green shirt like Abby does. And so he would wear his t-shirt or his button-up shirt
Show
the way
his
Abby
abs.
did. And what's funny is, okay, so Judah, he's usually someone who is kind of quiet, but he can still be like in beast mode if he's like playing. So I'm sitting there and I, as I'm working, every single day I'm hearing them watch Soda Pop and, you know, all this stuff. And I had been telling the kids like, hey, I want to sit down and I want to watch that with you, but I just haven't had a chance to. So I look over and I'm hearing Soda Pop and I see Judah and he's like putting on the moves in the hallway. And I'm
Oh my
like,
goodness.
Oh.
so not only am I hearing for the first time my kids sing, but now I'm seeing that my kid dances, and I'm seeing that he's got like some really great gifts. But man, the storyline to the K-pop Demon Hunters is really good,
So great,
And I just
right?
think that it's interesting that my boys like love this
Oh,
show.
man.
But
I love
it's
that.
all about girl power.
That
too.
soundtrack was amazing.
Yeah,
The
but
soundtrack.
having that representation, and for boys that age before they realize, like, oh, I can't relate to that because that's a girl. No, it's all about like you can see yourself in that person. And for so many decades, it was girls having to try to see themselves in a boy on screen.
Yeah.
So it's great that you have proof. It goes both ways.
Yeah.
So in your career, as you are now, what do you think your biggest setback was, and how did you handle that?
Oh, I don't know if there's been one. I mean, if I had to do it ever again, I'd say get famous at 18.
Get famous at 18.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
there you go. That's
Don't
how
wait
you do
till
it.
later in life, right, to try to figure this out.
It is important to look at people who you admire in the industry, who are maybe celebrities, and look at where they came from. This goes back to like, no path is your path. Your path is your path.
Right.
You can't do it the same way because they might have grown up in LA with parents who were famous directors or writers or actors. And so the access is just different.
Yeah.
Right.
But if somebody really wants to pursue it as a kid, especially as a young person, you got to get out there and do it. And the earlier you start learning, I mean, it's a decade-long process of shedding bad habits, learning new habits, getting comfortable with how weird it is to hit a mark, say a line, under your lights, like do this fake thing authentically and make it not look fake.
Yeah.
That's a long process to just get good at. And, you're paid a lot of money when you get to do it at a certain level because you've gone through the process of getting good at it.
Well, what do you think? I'm just curious on what Meredith does at the end of the day. And do you settle down and you go like, okay, yeah, I was this character. I'm this person here. And this is just me. How do you disengage and relax? I mean, how do you do that?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I feel like when I leave a set, I leave, like I guess it's in the costume change maybe, like
Okay.
letting go of the wardrobe. Putting on comfortable shoes because often the wardrobe is like fabulous.
Yeah.
But then you're like, can I just put my sweats and my sneakers on?
Yeah.
And then getting home to my 15-year-old foster fail dog, my rescue cocker corgi, little fatty named Dean Martin.
Yeah.
Dean Martin.
Yeah, Dean
Sounds
Martin.
spoiled to me.
Yeah. And just like getting home, hanging out with my husband, having a glass of wine, and we live inches from Venice Beach. So like literally putting my feet in the
that's
sand.
awesome.
Literally putting my feet in the sand is
That's
like
great.
such a treat to live that close. We pay enough to live that close that I have to be like, I'm getting out there every day. And that's very nurturing.
Who's the most favorite actor that you've met or worked with in somewhere in line? Is there a favorite?
Oh gosh. That I've worked with.
Or that you've met somewhere along the line that you had you've seen on stage and TV and movies that you've worked with or been, met?
High
Who was your
profile.
favorite one?
God, I
Wow,
wish I'd
that's
known.
hard, huh?
I know it is totally hard.
Yeah.
Because LA is such a weird place where you'll like go shopping and you'll be like, oh, that was Cameron Diaz who just came in the store. Oh, that's cool. Or like in Erewhon, I'm sure there's stories. My 14-year-old niece recently texted me out of the blue. She lives outside of Atlanta and was like, do you know what Erewhon is? I'm like, yes. It's a very bougie grocery store. And I was like, yes, I know what that is. And she said, have you had their smoothies? I hear they're $27. And I was like, they are $27. It's absurd.
Wow.
But you go in an Erewhon and you're like, oh, there's like 4 celebrities there. Or there's people that I am too old to recognize and like they're like young influencers that I don't know. And people will be like, oh,
Like from TikTok or something.
yes. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know who that is, but I hear they're important.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's tough. I'll say that seeing people on stage is always where I feel very just like enthralled with their technique and their work, like watching people like Laura Linney, like Michael Shannon on stage that I thankfully got to live in New York for a while and go to Broadway a good bit because once you're in the Actors Union and Actors Equity, you get a really good discount on Broadway tickets. So you can go to a matinee on a Wednesday and see amazing actors work. And that's the thing to do.
Yeah, I would love to see Denzel, just see him in person on stage doing what he does. That would be amazing.
I like Morgan Freeman. Like he's just
Oh,
always
yes,
been my
he's
favorite.
a good one.
Always.
Yes.
And he's like got this great voice too. Like my
Yes.
kids have just been watching the dinosaurs documentary that Morgan Freeman does the voiceover for. And,
Yeah, he's got that voice of God.
I like him. Like,
Yeah.
like he was in Lucy, like he's been in, what was the one with Jim Carrey? Where he plays God.
I was about to say, was that God Almighty?
Yeah, God Almighty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to see Audra McDonald in Porgy and Bess. Oh, just like epic talent. And just to be in the presence of it when it's happening, to hear that voice come out of that body. It's incredible.
Is there some time in your career, did you ever think, I know there's a lot of ups and downs in the career, but did you ever think, did you almost want to quit and go and do something else? I know this was your interest and your love, but everybody goes, man, I wish I just was doing this instead in my life.
I mean, I do feel fortunate that I've booked as much as I have, but there's a lot of space between some bookings. And so I feel like I haven't made the conscious decision of like, okay, I'm going to stop pursuing this. But in those times in between, I continue to, I feel like I'm a perpetual student. I love to learn new
love
things.
that.
And so I'm always taking a new class, or I got to choreograph something recently, like for a movie, and that was awesome. That was super fun to be able to do that. So finding other niches within the industry to pursue, or like I took some classes recently about composting. Very interesting.
Okay.
I
don't know how that works in the movie, but or in the
and
industry.
maybe it
but-
doesn't, and maybe it's just like in my backyard, or like teaching a neighbor how to do that. So stuff like that I'm always going to pursue, and then when I get a chance to be creative, like being creative, whether it is in the dinner that I get to make tonight or on set tomorrow as a character.
That's awesome.
What do you feel motivates you? What motivates Meredith?
I'd say being creative.
Being creative.
And again, like whether it's something that feels mundane, but if I can bring something like, ooh, I'm gonna put my twist on this. I'm not gonna off the recipe in the meal that I make, or like I went once not too long ago. I was out on the beach running, and my husband was biking the opposite direction. Like we knew we were both out there at the same time, but we weren't really together. And I had my earbuds in, and I was just like, there's kind of nobody around when it's wintry weather. So I had some amazing song going. I don't remember what it was. I think it was like Ella Fitzgerald or something. And so I'm like kind of dancing and just being silly because I'm out there by myself in the middle of the sand, like not down in the water. And later on, he said that as he was biking, he looked out and he was like, "What is that weirdo doing?" Oh, that's my wife.
Oh, he didn't recognize you for a second.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, that's who I live with." So just like enjoying that kind of thing, like I'd say that's a motivation for every day. You better have fun. Life is short.
Yes.
Having both of my parents have passed away, that was a big influence on life is short.
Yeah.
You better have fun.
Yeah, if you've got
better.
good parents, I know. I sure miss my dad. He died when I was 16, and then of course I had a pretty long life with my mother. She died at around 93.
Wow.
But it was just wonderful to have them around. Hopefully in the next life we'll see them again. But let's talk about, you're going to be doing something up here in our studio today, and
Yeah.
what's this all about?
Yeah, so one of the ways that actors get jobs now is through a self-tape. And this is what kind of democratizes and like globalizes the acting jobs, is that, a casting director can put out a breakdown and it can go out everywhere, and anybody who gets access to this breakdown can put themselves on tape to submit for an audition. Oh, wow. So instead of like back in the day when they had, okay, from 10 to 12, we're going to see this character, and everybody gets 10 minutes, that's only so many people they can see.
Right.
But now they send it out and say, okay, by Monday morning, send your tapes in, so they can see so many more people. So the opportunities are there. But with so many more people submitting, you got to know what you're doing to stand out, as quality. And so having booked, like I said, the Lifetime movie, I didn't know anybody on the other side of that. I just booked it from my tape. So I've had that Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours. Like I've learned how to do this well. And I'm booking from it. So I have proof that I know what I'm doing. So I've just definitely developed some techniques and some strategies for making your tapes. I use the word undeniable. You are going to book this job if you submit, because your tape is undeniable. Because you do certain things, and that's in the way you frame yourself, where you set your eye line, what you wear, things like that tell the story. And you just got to be super conscious that for this, it's as if you have booked the job, and for this next 3 minutes, you are that character. My approach is like, show them how you would do this. I'm not asking for permission to do it. And what do you want me to do? No, I'm saying, I'm a professional. This is how I would do it. Do you want to hire me to do my thing?
Yeah, they had some of those in Atlanta, like the actual classes where they would teach you the tips. And so after the whole Springer thing, I was like, let me just go to some of these workshops where I can learn the art. But, once again, that's a lot of time devotion, and if you're growing up, raising a family, it is kind of difficult. I like that we have like Zoom and the internet nowadays. Like you can practice all the tips and then send it off. You don't really have to relocate. So so what you're doing is you're creating like kind of like a workshop right now where you're teaching people these
An
nuances.
actual workshop, not even kind of like.
Okay,
An
so this
actual
is-
workshop.
Wow, so right here in Columbus. So how long has this been going out? Like, how long has people known about?
Well, I mean, once. So I'm here for the movie.
Yeah.
So we're, like I said, we're at the end of week 1, and I knew I had 3 weekends in town. So honestly, my husband's coming to visit next weekend. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it the weekend before. So just started putting the word out, and I've had so many local friends who've been very, very supportive in helping me get the word out. Yeah, and we're gonna do it this afternoon. A little self-tape workshop, and
Yeah,
Awesome.
well, we have about because I know we were trying to honor the hour, and it's like we've been at 54 minutes. So I mean, I would love to hear what you're going to do in the future. See if you have more plans for Columbus, or if this is a one and done.
well, it would certainly already be a second and done since I'm back.
Yeah,
for a second movie.
okay.
I'll say I hope it's not another 6 years before I get back.
Oh yeah,
with another movie.
Just tell us all of your information, how we can
Yeah.
follow you, and how if you do have another workshop, how we can
Okay,
get about-
yeah, sure, certainly.
part of it.
One of the things I'd like to do is make some connections with the Springer and with CSU, and I developed this workshop because I got to do it at the University of Alabama and the University of Alabama Birmingham back in the fall. I'm on the UA's Dance Advisory Board. And so that's been a wonderful experience to actually get to work with some students. So I'd love to be able to bring the workshop to those students who are really pursuing this, because that's really the type of person. It's not at a beginner level kind of a thing. And of course, people who are just interested in what's next or want to see behind the scenes stuff of Breaking Joy can follow me on Instagram. I call myself Meredithville, like a little city.
Okay.
It's Meredithville. And it's connect more professionally. I'm on LinkedIn. Use all 3 names. You'll find me. I have 2 movies that I would like to bring to Georgia. Of course, Columbus is my first, my hope to be my first location. So I'm putting out feelers to raise financing for those. Once we get the money, we can get the cast who can help get more money, and that's the strategy for bringing those movies here. So we'll see how that pans out in the next 6 months or so. Yeah, but I'd love to, again, like I said, be back here with another movie in less than 6 years would be ideal. Hopefully before this time next year, I'll be back with the premiere of Breaking Joy. You can also follow Breaking Joy on Instagram.
have
and
a
TikTok.
premiere party. We'll come.
I'd love to invite you.
Yes, invite
Yeah.
It's great to have somebody on like yourself here that's a native that's gone into the industry. I think that's what's important. And you're teaching some very valuable skills to some of these folks that want to get in the entertainment industry. I know it can be difficult. Sometimes if they just see a good-looking guy with a deep voice, it was like, I got to have that guy on there. He might be this character that'll be special for this particular program. So I'm still working at it, folks. But
Well, that's one of those tips of advice. It's I think when I was a kid, I thought you would be plucked from obscurity. That's how
Yeah.
it happens.
that's right.
Y'all, let me tell you, that don't happen. You got to have the technique. You've got to have the technique, the strengths, the work ethic, the discipline to back it up, so that when you get the opportunity, you are ready.
You are such a professional. I hear it definitely, because that's what I learned at the Springer, and I wish I would have understood that before I embarrassed myself. But
And also, it's important to realize you lived through the embarrassment. You might do something embarrassing. It doesn't kill you.
Yes.
It hurts your ego a little bit, but you'll get over it.
Very true.
Well, Meredith, it was wonderful to have you on today. It's a good experience to have you here, and we'll be looking forward to what you're doing in the future. That's what's important to us. But tune in. To all the things that Meredith Riley Stewart has done. She's been an actor and
Yeah, thank you.
been very successful in her endeavors,
I appreciate that.
film and industry. And I think it was just wonderful to have you on.
And if anybody
board
listening
today.
is interested in those other projects and wanting to be a part of that, message me. Let me
And
know.
if we can plug it for you or anything,
Yeah.
it always helps. And
Great.
this program now is starting to we're starting to get into 75, 100,000 views, and so we're getting up there, and hopefully we can help you out. And by all means, if you want to invite us on any of this stuff, I'm not a very good actor, but I did work behind scenes, the stage and
Yeah,
stuff
if
like
we
that.
need security, I'm calling you.
Well, there you go.
That's
There it is.
right.
That's what it was.
And if you train me, I'll be there.
Come to my workshop.
But thank you for coming on, Meredith. It's been a joy, and
Yes.
it's been a real honor to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, and we usually close out, and you're welcome to join us with a prayer. And if you would, Sarah, if you would do that, please.
All right. Well, Lord, we just thank you for this time. We thank you for this discussion on the show, Lord. It was so nice to have Meredith on here and just to tell us all the nuances when it comes to acting in the industry, Lord. We pray blessings over her, God, where she goes. We pray blessings over her workshop. And Lord, we just ask that you would just bless her for just even coming and taking time to talk with us today, Lord. And Lord, we just pray blessings over the industry. I know it's changing, God, but I know that you have people that you're raising up in these spaces to represent you and to just really present a great message for girls and for the younger generation coming up, Lord. So we just thank you for today, and we bless you, and it's in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Columbus, Georgia, thank you for tuning in today. And our next program will be coming up shortly here in the next couple of days. We've got some more guests lined up, and we will do an announcement prior to that. So thank you for tuning in. God bless, and have a good rest of your weekend. Thank you.